Autumn surprises. It was a perfect autumn afternoon in the quaint town of Maple Grove. The leaves danced vividly in shades of crimson, amber, and gold under a bright blue sky, and the sun bathed everything in a warm glow. It was one of those idyllic days that begged to be cherished. After enjoying a hearty pumpkin soup at our favorite cafe, my best friend, Sam, turned to me. "What do you say we head over to the orchard and do some apple picking? It's our annual tradition after all," he suggested, a playful grin on his face. I could hardly say no, especially since apples were my favorite fruit. But just as I was about to agree, a smattering of dread washed over me. You didn't mention that Leah would be there today," I said, suddenly feeling a tightness in my chest. "Is that really your excuse?" Sam chuckled, not taking my nervousness seriously. "Come on, it's not like you haven't talked to her before. She's the reason I'm deathly scared to go," I whispered, glancing in the direction of the apple trees. There, with her back turned to me, was Leah, her luscious dark hair cascading in waves over a flannel shirt, tied at the waist, the hem brushing against her perfectly fitted jeans. You need to toughen up. You've pined over her long enough," Sam said, an eyebrow raised. "You've got this." Before I could argue, my heart sank as Leah turned around, her hazel eyes sparkling in the sunlight. Her gaze locked onto mine and my stomach dropped. Leah called, approaching with that bright smile that always made my heart skip a beat. "I didn't expect to see you here." "Yeah, well, I'm here for the apples." I stumbled over my words, desperately trying to sound casual. "I mean, of course. What other reason would I have?" "Good choice. I hope you're ready for some serious picking." She laughed, swinging her basket eagerly. I muttered under my breath, feeling Sam nudge me forward. "Let's get it over with." I groaned, but deep down I was buzzing with nerves. As we began strolling toward the apple trees, Sam excitedly stepped away, deflecting to investigate a nearby pumpkin patch where a group of friends had gathered. "You two have a way of picking apples together, right? Come on, I'll grab the other basket," Leah suggested, her gaze steady and warm. "Sure," I replied, trying to sound enthusiastic as we picked apples side by side. With each apple one plucked, I could feel the anxiety slowly dissipate. Talking about our favorite recipes and how we'd both been dying to try the new apple pie at the farmer's market helped bridge the gap that had seemed so daunting moments before. But I couldn't ignore the racing in my chest when our hands occasionally brushed against each other while reaching for the same fruit. Each accidental touch sent electricity dancing up my arm, making it hard to concentrate. "Do you remember that time when we went apple picking together last year?" Leah asked suddenly, a smile playing on her lips. "Vaguely," I replied, trying to play it cool. "All I remember is you kept picking the best apples and leaving me with the mushy ones." She burst out laughing, her eyes sparkling. "Okay, so maybe I have a knack for finding the sweetest ones. But you know what? I also remember that you completely crushed those caramel apples we tried later." "As I should," I replied, rolling my eyes playfully. "They were the highlight of the day." "Speaking of highlights," Leah said, her expression turning serious for a moment, "you should really consider trying something like that again. You are really good at baking. I mean, your cinnamon rolls could win awards." I felt warmth crawl up my cheeks. "Thanks. That means a lot coming from you," I said shyly. As we continued picking, I tried my best not to dwell on my growing feelings for her. But there was something about Leah's laughter and the way she looked at me that made my heart race. Just when I thought my nerves couldn't get any worse, Leah popped an apple into her mouth, her face brightening as she chewed. "You have to try this one. It's so juicy." I leaned over to grab one for myself, carefully examining it before taking a bite. "Oh wow, that's actually really good," I exclaimed, the tangy sweetness exploding in my mouth. We continued chatting, the pressure slowly easing as I started feeling more comfortable. Just as I let out a chuckle at one of Leah's jokes, she turned to me with a slightly more serious look. "Can I ask you something kind of personal?" Leah said, tucking a stray hair behind her ear. My heartbeat quickened. Zure. Do you believe in the kind of magic that happens in moments like this? I mean, in a way that people connect unexpectedly. I tilted my head, surprise etched on my face. I don't know. I guess I never really thought about it that way." She nodded, gazing thoughtfully at the apple trees. "I just feel like there are connections we can't explain, like the ones that happen behind all the laughter and fun. You know, are you saying you believe in love at first sight?" I asked, half teasingly, half serious. "Something like that. I think sometimes we just need a push to really see it," she said, meeting my gaze, her expression intense. "Do you have someone on your mind?" I ventured cautiously. "Maybe," Leah said, her cheeks flushing slightly. "I just don't know how to say it." The air between us felt charged, and I didn't know what to say. Leah moved closer, lowering her voice. "Have you ever thought about kissing someone? Just curious." Oh goodness, my stomach twisted in knots. A little. I just never thought anyone would want to kiss me," I stammered, eyeing her thoughtfully. "Why not?" she asked, her hazel eyes steady and genuine. "You're funny kind. And I've always thought you were pretty." My heart almost stopped. I could feel the heat rising to my cheeks again. "You really think so?" "Yes, I do. And I wouldn't mind." She hesitated, lowering her voice as though the words were specific to us. "Kissing you." It was surreal to hear her say that. I felt flustered and excited all at once. "Well, in that case, I'm not quite sure how to respond because I don't want to ruin our friendship," I said honestly, my voice barely above a whisper. Leah took a step closer, her confidence radiating. "But what if I promise it wouldn't ruin anything?" Taking a breath, I made a decision. "Okay, just try to be gentle, all right?" Leah's expression shifted into delight, and my heart raced as she leaned in, her gaze locked onto mine. The world slowed and everything else faded away. The moment our lips met was electrifying, gentle, sweet, and filled with an unexpected warmth that sent butterflies swirling in my stomach. When we pulled away, my thoughts raced. That was, I started trying to find words. Unexpected. Leah finished for me, grin spreading across her face. "I know, but it felt nice, didn't it?" "Definitely nice," I said, still trying to process what had just happened. "Then how about we keep picking apples?" she suggested, playfully nudging me with her hip. "And see where this goes?" I nodded, excitement bubbling up inside me. "You can count on that." As we returned to our apple adventure, the nervous knots in my stomach transformed into something new, something hopeful. And as we picked apples, laughed, and enjoyed the day, I knew that whatever future awaited us, it would be worth every moment. As Leah and I resumed our apple-picking adventure, the autumn sun warmed us, and the vibrant colors of the orchard seemed to come alive all around us. Each apple we plucked felt like a new memory being created, and I couldn't shake the giddy excitement that came with our unexpected kiss. It lingered in my mind, the sweet taste of it mingling with the crisp air, and I found myself stealing glances at Leah, who was blissfully humming to herself. "Are you okay?" Leah asked, turning to me with a curious smile as if she could read the whirlwind of thoughts dancing across my face. "Yeah, I just can't believe that actually happened," I admitted, a smile creeping across my lips. "Neither can I, but I'm really glad it did." She flashed me a radiant grin, her eyes sparkling with sincerity and warmth. "I've been wanting to tell you how I feel for a while now, but I was so nervous." I laughed softly, my heart swelling at her honesty. I was nervous too. I mean, we've been friends for so long. I didn't want to ruin that. "Exactly," Leah said, nodding emphatically. "But I think this could actually make our friendship stronger. I really like you, B." "I really like you too," I replied, feeling emboldened by her words. It feels nice to finally say that out loud. "Let's make a deal," Leah suggested, her voice brightening. "How about we keep picking apples and enjoy this day? And then we can figure things out together later." "Deal," I said, my heart racing with excitement. The tension from earlier had transformed into a delightful energy, and it felt like there were infinite possibilities ahead. We filled our baskets with apples, each one a testament to our newfound connection. Leah would occasionally toss me a playful smile, and I'd return it with a matching grin, our laughter echoing through the orchard. I began to notice how effortlessly we still navigated each other's presence, even with this new layer of intimacy between us. At one point, as I stood on my tiptoes to reach for a particularly high apple, I felt Leah's warmth behind me. "Need a boost?" she asked gently. I turned my head just in time to catch her lifting me a couple of inches off the ground. This small act ignited a rush of joy within me. "I think I can manage," I teased, though I appreciated the help. "Just wanted to make sure you can reach the good ones." Leah shrugged playfully, setting me back down. As we explored deeper into the orchard, we came across a quieter area away from the main paths. The trees stood thickly together, creating a little oasis filled with the rich scent of apples and earth. "This spot is beautiful," I whispered, captivated by the sight. "It is. I always come here when I need a break," Leah said softly, taking a seat in the shade of a nearby tree and patting the ground beside her. "Join me." I settled next to her, our baskets of apples resting between us. The atmosphere felt serene, and for a moment, it was as if the rest of the world vanished. "So what now?" I asked, hesitant yet eager. When I said I like you too, I meant it, but I'm still trying to wrap my mind around it all. "Same here," Leah admitted, her fingers fidgeting with a fallen leaf. "I really enjoy being around you and want to see where this goes. I think there's so much potential." "Right," I said slowly, absorbing her words. "We're both still figuring this out, but I want to make sure we're on the same page." Leah nodded, her face thoughtful. "Friendship is really important to me, what we already have. I wouldn't want this part to change, you know? But I'm also excited about exploring this new side of us." "I want that too." I smiled at her, my heart thumping in anticipation. "I think we could create something pretty special together." With a pact silently formed between us, we spent the next few hours picking apples, sharing stories, and laughing. The weight of our earlier conversation faded into a comfortable backdrop, enhancing the joy of the day. As we headed back toward the main area of the orchard, I noticed the sun beginning to dip lower in the sky, casting a golden hue over everything. Hey, do you want to make a pie with some of these apples? We could have a little baking night at my place, I suggested, my excitement bubbling over. Oh, I'd love that. Leah's eyes widened. I have a great recipe for a caramel apple pie that I've been dying to try. We could have a whole baking party. Sounds like a plan, I replied, elated at the thought. A baking party with Leah. It felt perfect, like I was assembling the pieces of a dream I had long wanted. As we reached the car, Sam spotted us and waved. Looks like you two had a great time. Absolutely. We've got plenty of apples and a plan for a pie, Leah announced with a laugh. Nice. I'll bring over some snacks for the baking party then, Sam said, exchanging an amused glance with me that was both understanding and supportive. I get to help too, right? He added, winking. Sure, I replied, nudging Leah playfully. But only if you promise not to eat everything before we finish. The journey back was filled with light-hearted chatter, and as we pulled up to my house, a wave of contentment washed over me. I felt exhilarated. As we entered the kitchen, I glanced at Leah. Want to help me organize the ingredients first? Of course, she said, her smile bright and genuine. As we pulled out flour, sugar, and the fresh apples, I felt a thrill of excitement. This was more than just baking. It was a chance to forge a deeper bond with Leah, to explore this new chapter together. Once we had everything laid out, Leah began reading through her caramel apple pie recipe. Okay, step 1. Preheat the oven to 350 degrees. Easy enough. We worked side by side, laughter filling the kitchen as ingredients got spilled and the occasional flour cloud erupted between us. Every moment felt electric. The way Leah laughed at my antics, the way she playfully nudged me whenever I mixed up measurements, and the simple comfort of being in each other's presence. As the pie baked, we took a quick break, sitting on the kitchen floor while the sweet aroma filled the air. I really enjoyed today, Leah said, looking straight at me. Thank you for being so open and for not overthinking everything. I just feel like with each moment we share, things feel right. I confessed, feeling vulnerable but clear about my emotions. I've liked you for a long time, but I was scared things might go wrong. Leah smiled softly, brushing her hair back behind her ear. I feel the same, Bee. I promise to take things one step at a time because I want us to be able to be ourselves, no matter what. And as we sat together, bathed in the warm glow of the kitchen light, I knew this was just the beginning. The promise of our friendship evolving into something deeper felt bright and hopeful, and I couldn't wait to see where our journey would lead us next. With laughter and joy, we embraced the future, ready to navigate whatever delightful surprises lay ahead in our lives. The pie baked in the oven, releasing an enticing aroma that made my mouth water. Leah and I settled back against the cool tiles of the kitchen floor, our knees touching, the warmth radiating between us. Do you always bake this much? Leah asked, glancing at the various flour-covered surfaces. Not usually, but I've been wanting to try new recipes. Plus, having you here makes it more fun, I admitted, feeling a surge of happiness as I looked over at her. What about you? Do you bake often? Only when I have time. My grandmother was a fantastic baker. She taught me everything I know. I think every family gathering had a baking competition, and she always won, Leah remembered fondly. a hint of nostalgia in her voice. "Will you share her recipes with me?" I asked eagerly. "I'd love to learn more." "Definitely. I can give you her famous chocolate chip cookie recipe," Leah said, her eyes lighting up at the thought. Just then the oven timer beeped, and we jumped up simultaneously, knocking over a small bag of flour in the process. It burst open, creating a dust cloud that momentarily hid us from view, and we both erupted into laughter. "Oops," I giggled, brushing flour from my arms and cheeks. "Well, I guess now we're really in a baking mood. I might just be turning into a walking pastry," Leah said, attempting to puff out her cheeks comically. "More like the prettiest pastry," I quipped, and she blushed slightly, her smile wide. We managed to clean up the mess and finally turned our attention to the pie. Opening the oven door, we were greeted by perfectly golden crust and bubbling caramel apples. The sight was so mouth-watering that we could hardly contain our excitement. "Oh, it looks incredible," Leah exclaimed, pulling on oven mitts and carefully lifting the pie out of the oven. "Now we just have to let it cool for a bit, but that doesn't mean we can't nibble on the leftovers." We took the extra apple peels and ends, slicing them into small pieces. With some sugar and cinnamon sprinkled on top, we baked them for a quick snack as we waited for the pie to cool. "You really know how to make cooking an adventure," Leah said, watching me as I prepared the baking dish. "I love how spontaneous you are." "I could say the same about you," I responded with sincerity. "You bring a lot of fun and enthusiasm into everything." "I love that about you." Leah smiled shyly, her cheeks slightly flushed. "Thank you, Bee. I really want to make the most of this time we're spending together." As we enjoyed bites of the warm cinnamon apple scraps, the comforting ambience of the kitchen wrapped around us. We traded stories about childhood memories and shared laughter over clumsy moments that seem trivial now but were filled with joy back then. "Do you remember the first time we went apple picking?" Leah asked, leaning against the counter, her eyes sparkling. "I remember it vividly," I replied, thinking back. "You nearly fell off that ladder trying to reach the highest apples." "Oh, do you remember the nicknames you gave to those apples? Like the ones fit for princesses?" Leah laughed. "You claimed they were too superior for us common folk." I chuckled, recalling how we had spent the whole day joking and trying to outdo each other with increasingly ridiculous descriptions for each apple. "I still think those apples were nobility in disguise," I joked. Leah laughed, and the sound rang through the kitchen, sending warmth through me. After a while, the pie cooled enough to slice. Leah expertly cut the first piece and handed it to me with a grin. "Time for the real test." "Ready." "Always." "I can't wait," I replied, anticipation bubbling within me as she held up a fork, teasing me with the first bite. "Okay, here goes nothing," Leah said dramatically before taking a bite herself. Her expression of pure joy made me laugh as she nodded emphatically. "It's so good. You have to try it." I eagerly took my own slice and savored it, the perfect blend of sweet caramel and spiced apple making my taste buds sing. "Oh wow, Leah. This is incredible," I exclaimed, my eyes widening in delight. "I have to admit this was a team effort," she said with a proud smile. "How about we call this our first official baking party success?" "Definitely. I think we should make it a monthly tradition," I suggested, feeling invigorated by both the pie and our connection. "Absolutely," she agreed, leaning closer. "Next time we should try my grandmother's brownie recipe. They're to die for. I'm all for it, I said, the excitement of planning future adventures swirling in my mind. As we finished our slices, the conversation shifted, becoming more personal. I told Leah about my dreams, aspirations, and how I aspired to open a bakery one day, while she shared her own hopes for the future, exploring the world through art and photography, capturing the beauty she found in everyday moments. I could see your bakery being filled with laughter, color, and amazing creations, Leah said, her eyes bright with encouragement. You have such a natural talent for baking. I can totally see this dream of yours coming true. I smiled at her belief in me, which fueled my determination. Thank you, Leah. It feels nice to share this with someone who truly understands. Of course. We're building something special here, she said, her voice filled with sincerity. There was a flicker of something deeper in her gaze, and for a moment, I felt surrounded by an undeniable intimacy. My heart raced slightly as I held her gaze, wondering how this wonderful connection might evolve in the days to come. After finishing our pie, we decided our kitchen adventure needed to conclude for the evening, but not before Leah offered a playful suggestion. How about we take a little walk to enjoy the night air? I'd love to continue our talks outside. I'd love that, I replied, feeling a flutter of excitement at the prospect of sharing more time with her. With the kitchen cleaned up and our leftover pie wrapped securely for later, we stepped outside. The evening sun began to set, casting golden rays across my yard and illuminating us in a warm glow. As we walked side by side and shoulders brushing against each other, the air filled with the sounds of the night, crickets chirping softly and leaves rustling in the gentle breeze. I couldn't help but glance sideways at Leah, who was lost in thought, a smile gracing her lips. So what's next for you? Any crazy adventures planned? I asked, breaking the comfortable silence. Honestly, just more time spent baking with you, she confessed, her eyes meeting mine. I'd love to explore more of what we can create together, both in the kitchen and well beyond. Beyond, I echoed, my heart racing slightly at the suggestion of more possibilities. She smiled, a hint of hopefulness dancing in her eyes. You know, I think our friendship could blossom into something even more meaningful. But no pressure, of course. I'm happy just being with you. I want that too. I really do, I replied, feeling a rush of courage wash over me. I've never felt this way about anyone before. You're different, Leah. Her smile brightened. Then let's see where this leads us together. As we continued our walk, the sky turned a deep shade of indigo, sprinkled with stars. Every now and then our hands brushed against each other, sending warmth through me. Each touch felt electric, reigniting what we had begun during our day together. A connection that promised growth, love, and adventures yet to unfold. And as I stood next to Leah talking about pie, dreams, and our favorite memories, I felt a sense of peace wash over me, knowing that whatever path we chose, I would be thrilled to walk it together with her.